All right, and we're going to run out the clock, and there we go. Now we're pretty sure we're alive. All right, good morning, beloveds. It's Friday. Thank goodness it's Friday. I have a 3-day weekend. That and the owner of Betsy's, her house flooded almost 2 months ago. She's been living in the store, and hopefully this weekend she gets to go home because, yeah, she's got cabin fever, So you wonder why my energy's been a little for the last couple of weeks. That would be why. All right. So we are starting, we're back to individual articles instead of little, or essays instead of little subsections. So today's 5 pages, which means I need to get going. So here's what I'm going to do is the housekeeping. Reminding you, we are Creative Life Spiritual Center, Creative Life Spark. Okay, apparently I'm going to start with social medias. Okay, we don't monetize the social media. So what we ask you to do is engage with our pages. And we are Creative Life Spiritual Center or Creative Life Spark. And I'm the running Rev Ryan on the social medias. So what we ask you to do is go like, subscribe, share, follow, comment, which bumps us in the algorithms. That's it. All right. We are Creative Life Spiritual Center, so the website is creativelife.org. The constant contact email is info@creativelife.org. Get you 1 email a week, unless something unusual happens. Hot links are hot. Blind CC, nobody's going to get your email. Tells you what's going on for the week and the month. So there's that. Okay. I think that's the housekeeping since I got myself out of order. All right, let's move on. What we are doing is, I don't know if my eye's dry or I got something in it, so pardon me while I rub it. We are doing Living Science of Mind. It's a one-on-one with Ernest. The essays are taken from the take-home Science of Mind course that you could mail off from the back of the Science of Mind. But really, I think it's people wrote into Jesse with questions, and so he answered them. Because today's, I almost went Australian there. Today, mate. Today's topic is God's will, which is a topic. I mean, it's a heavy duty topic. And I got a lot of, underlined. This is before I would, books in my house growing up and in our house now are sacred. Like writing in a book is, highlighting in a book is, I still, so I was using pencil to underline because at least I could go back and, erase the pencil. I'm starting to use highlighters now because clearly they're my books and I'm never going to give them up. These books up. Other books, yeah. So, but we are going to talk about God's will today. So let's see what Ernest has to say. And he's going to start out with a quote from Philippians 4:8. Finally, brethren, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report, if there be any virtue, and if there be any praise, think on these things. Like I said, that's a quote from Philippians 4:8. In the Science of Mind, we are frequently asked these questions. What is God's will? What is it God's will that I should be happy, prosperous, free, and self-expressed? Or is God trying me? Is God molding my character through trial and tribulation? Generally speaking, these questions are sincerely asked. And frequently, they are made by one whose consciousness has already suffered deeply from the limitation and unhappiness of human experience. What is God's will? This question is as old as time, and the answer has been as varied as has been the mentalities of those who gave it. To the scientific mind, the will of God is manifest in the immutable laws of the universe. To the overzealous religionist, the will of God appears to come through some special revelation, giving birth to a certain spiritual system of thought, which forever after is to be taken dogmatically and accepted without question, a truth and a faith once and for all delivered. Okay, right up, you can hear with Ernest, he does not believe in that. He does not believe in not questioning your faith. He's all about questioning your faith. He's the biggest thing is he's like, here, let me show you what I'm talking about. Now I want you to go road test it. Ask the questions. Test it out. Does it work for you? Ernest is a big believer in this. He is not a big believer in these are the words and take. That's why Science of Mind is called Open at the Top. Because he said, I don't have all the answers. There are going to be new questions. There are going to be new answers. Ask the questions. All right? Okay. If we take a rational viewpoint of this question, shall we not be compelled to accept as the only logical conclusion, the will of God must ever be consistent with the nature of the divine being? God's will and God's nature must be identical. If the nature of God is limitation and bondage, the will of God must also be limitation and bondage. I can tell you right now, Ernest doesn't believe that. If you've read anything by Ernest, you know he doesn't believe that. When we use the word God, we mean the great reality, the infinite unity, the final truth back of all manifest life, the absolute or causeless cause, the one unconditioned, complex, and perfect being, indivisible, changeless, and whole. All of these descriptive terms are synonymous with the word God. Only Ernest believes, only Ernest would say that, right? A lot of the other religions would not use any of those words. That's why our Science of Mind is, yeah, we're classified as a religion, but we're not really, we're more like a philosophy. It's like, here's a way you can live your life. If the nature of God or reality were unhappiness, then the will of God would be toward unhappiness. But suppose that the nature of God could be towards any form of limitation. But to suppose, it's kind of important to get that article in there. But to suppose that the nature of God could be towards any form of limitation is to suppose not only an inconsistency, but an impossibility. The truth is limitless. The nature of God, then, is not one of limitation or bondage, but one of freedom. Therefore, the scriptures tell us that we have inherited not bondage, but liberty. Our divine inheritance is self-sufficiency, perfection, peace, wholeness, and this must include abundance, self-expression, accomplishment, and happiness. The nature of God is wholeness. The nature of wholeness is happiness. The nature of happiness is peace. The nature of peace is harmony. And the nature of harmony is joy. So whatever way we turn the proposition, we are compelled... okay, hang on. So whichever way we turn the proposition, we are compelled to understand that the nature of reality, the nature of God, is perfect. Therefore, the will of God, which can never be divorced from God's nature, must always be a will towards our wholeness, peace, poise, power, and self-expression. If the will of God is the will of abundance, it follows that God will lack, want, or limitation. It follows that all bondage is of the human. All bondage is a result of a circumscribed viewpoint of reality. All affliction is the result of ignorance. And honestly, when you look at ignorance is a choice. It's like you are choosing not to go look for the information. Because of our psychological nature, and because that which we think about tends to take place in our experience, and that is super important. What we think about, we tend to bring about. It follows that if we believe God's will is towards unhappiness and limitation, we shall experience limitation resulting from such a belief. That is why it is so important that our consciousness be clear, that we should know what we really believe about God. See, right there. We should know what we really believe about God. It's one of those things that when you come into Science of Mind, you want to get really clear, really fast, what you believe about God. Because what you believe about God is what is coloring your entire life. all of your experiences. Really. Indeed, we might say that in the final analysis, what a person believes about God inevitably influences their entire experience of life. If you believe that God is a great accountant in the sky with a big book waiting to punish you, yeah, and you wonder why your life looks the way it does, that's just a story I never could buy. Okay. It certainly follows that if we believe the supreme will of the universe is toward suffering, we cannot possibly escape the suffering imposed by such belief operating through the law of cause and effect. But the will of God is never toward suffering. In the midst of all perplexities, the cry for deliverance has ever risen. The intuition senses that deliverance is at hand, but the intellect does not comprehend the manner in which it may become manifest. So the intuition knows, and the intellect is going, what? Where? Huh? Oh. Hence, the intuition proclaims that which the intellect does not understand, and the person must constantly reaffirm their belief in the infinite goodness if they expect to exclude the idea of evil from their thought. God's will for every person is happiness. That's what Ernest believes. God's will for every person is happiness, peace, and joy. God's will for all of creation is self-expression. Since creation is an expression of this invisible cause, which we call God, nor can it be considered anything else. Okay. Every now and again, he chooses to frame a sentence in a really odd way. Okay. Nor can it be considered anything else. What? Yes. Every constructive desire towards self-expression finds its prototype in the universal need for self-expression. The universal need for self-expression. Everything expresses itself. Everything. Why do you think spiders weave such beautiful webs? Yes, it is to catch flies. But it's also, they're creating something beautiful. And I hope that they believe that. I hope that they see the beauty that they create in the world. Trees, same thing. They are expressing their business of being tree. So, all right. Every constructive desire towards self-expression finds its prototype in the universal need for self-expression. The ceaseless struggle for liberty manifests through the ages, the constant reaching out towards the reality which has inspired all people to more noble efforts, are expressions of that which is largely an unconscious sense, that hope which springs eternal in the human breast. God's will is always towards life and more life. When Jesus said, God is not the God of the dead, but the living, he was explaining that the will of God and the nature of God are life, not death. For how can the principle of life produce death? We might add, how can the principle of harmony produce discord? We must believe that the will of God is happiness. Then we shall have a strong spiritual and psychological background for our conviction that we too should be happy. In the quest of the soul for its greatest good, that which is an inner contentment, we must know that the will of God is serenity, security, and certainty. But some may say, that sounds very grand, but is it not a subtle argument of the devil trying to lead us astray? Is it not really our own lustful and willful wishing, seeking to escape the dire penalties of our rash acts? We must patiently, persistently, and insistently show people that the will of God cannot be towards anything other than that which is good. That the will of God and the nature of God are identical and must forever remain so. That there is nothing in the universe which opposes their good except their misuse of the law, which of itself is good. This law must present itself to each individual according to their belief. And again, we're back to, what is it that you believe? What do you believe about God? God's will most certainly is towards abundance. If we enjoy life, God is that much more completely expressed. The world is to that extent a happier place in which to live. There is no God who tries people's souls or beats them over the head with a cosmic club, seeing how much they can stand. There is no sin but a mistake, and no punishment but a consequence. Yep. We are punished by our own ignorance. Or, when we make deliberate choices. By the same token, virtue is its own reward. If some sincere person says to you, then, if all this is true, I can do exactly as I please, since God has no will for me, explain to them again that God's will and God's nature are one. And one part of God's nature is the immutable law of cause and effect. Every person must reap what they sow. There can be no new harvest without a new seed time. If we have been suffering from unhappiness, thinking it to be the will of God, we must realize that our thoughts are so formulated that our unhappiness is an inevitable result. Our emotions are so directed that they must create unhappiness. In other words, we suffer from ignorance. Did I just hear we got to do the work? Yep, think so. Now, if the will of God is towards peace and joy, and if the nature of God is identical with this will, then the law of God, which is also the nature of God, executing the will of God, is towards joy and happiness. Consequently, when we begin to think joy and happiness, they will rush to us, claiming us as their own. Both Rumi and Hafiz say that. Thus, it is that the Father advances to meet the Son and enfolds him in his embrace, which I believe is a direct quote from the Bible, but Ernest doesn't give credit where credit is due, which is the other reason why I didn't gender neutral it. They were never really separated. The child had merely misdirected its energy. The most beautiful thought of all is that when the child redirected this energy into a constructive channel, their evil experience was terminated, and a new use of the law was put into effect. By the way, that's the the story of the prodigal son that he's referencing here. In this simple but most profound lesson, did the great way shower teach the simple truth of our relationship with the parent mind. And he wrote parent mind. That was not me. So I appreciate that. Every moment that a person is unhappy and unexpressed, they are tearing down their personality. The moment they become inwardly content, they begin to build it up again. The will of God is towards a more abundant life because that life expresses God. That life is cramped, warped, timid, and fearful. Does not express the divine being so completely as the free-swinging self-expression of the soul pronouncing God's work to be good, announcing through every expression the ecstasy of self-expression. Yep, be who you are. Okay, we do not honor God by being poor, weak, and unhappy, nor do we limit God by such experiences. What we do in our negative experience is misdirect the positive energy which is already in us, for there is only one final energy, just as there is only one final mind. This final mind and the final energy are always manifesting through us at a level of our consciousness of life and our comprehension of its meaning. Oh, see right there, our comprehension of its meaning. We got to participate in this. Hence, the importance of re-educating the mind to a more direct perception of its relationship with God. See? We got to participate in this progress. Apparently I thought this... Oh, hey! I'm losing. Almost lost the page. That would be a bad thing. I did lose the camera angle there. Ooh, and I got to hurry up and finish up. Okay. We're almost done, though. We got like 3 paragraphs. All people seek self-expression as all people seek life, because the God in us is freedom and must be expressed. If our outlet for this self-expression, for this divine usage, is a constructive one, no evil results can ever follow. And through our self-expression, the world will be benefited. Every form of morbid argument arises to slay this great hope within us. God is trying us. The devil is tempting us. Experience is too much for us. And on through the limitless category of human morbidity. This argument of the serpent seeks to win us from our Garden of Eden. Basically, other people are miserable. They want you to be miserable with them. Don't listen to them. Go do you. Go be you. Go and create. Yeah, we got 2 paragraphs to go. Stop listening to the serpents. Stop listening to miserable people. Through every subtlety, by every illusion, by the logic of human experience, we are led from reality into our dream of separation. It takes resolute thought, a poised mind, and a confident spirit to overcome this. It takes calm faith and a quiet confidence of the supremacy of good and in the omnipotence of the law of good. Freedom from bondage is a thing that we must inwardly perceive. This perception is the greatest of all perceptions. Because it's within you, nobody can take it away from you. All right? 2 paragraphs. The nature of God, the will of God, and the power of God are one and the same thing. It matters not that countless millions of people through endless generations have misinterpreted this will of God and thought that it meant limitation and suffering. The nature of God is demonstrated when it is understood. It is proved when it is known. If the truth about God is happiness, joy, self-expression, and abundance, then this is the truth we should seek to demonstrate in our own lives. This is done by knowing that every thought within us abounds with peace, partakes in the divine bounty, includes the idea of wholeness, and is shot through with eternal light. I mean, look around. Nature is abundant. That's where we want to take our cues from. All right, beloveds, I got to wrap this up. So that was a treatise on God's will, and it's a conversation worth having. It's a conversation worth having. So let's have it. All right, beloveds. Now I'm going to encourage you to have a great day, wondrous day, and fantastic day, a magical day, an enchanted day, a wonderful day, an awesome day, an amazing day. Take care of business day. Let's wrap this week up day. Enjoy the Memorial Day weekend. Yes, I know what Memorial Day weekend is for, because we are right around the beginning. We're right around D-Day. So, however you remember Memorial Day, please do that. Take care of yourself. A drink plenty of water day, a cuddle your fur babies day, a salute a soldier day, a take care of your tasks day, a make sure you build in some fun time day, a stay out of direct sunlight day, a watch for the heat day. The feels likes have been in the hundreds around here. A take care of yourself day, a good day, and if that is too much pressure, because I know it can be, simply have a day. You are enough, just as you are. You're a beloved expression of the divine. You are a brilliant light, a divine spark, spirit in motion, God in action, a beautiful masterpiece, and a work in progress at the same time, at your own pace. And as Reverend Jesse likes to call us, you are a godling. All right, explore the truth of your being. Get to know who the divine knows you to be, because the divine knows you to be good. It's all the divine knows. And from there, anything is possible. All right, beloveds, Reverend David should be on around 5 p.m. with you. I will be back with you around 9 a.m. tomorrow, 9:50. I get to go to the park tomorrow, so I'll see you after I go to the park. Take care of yourself. Know that you are loved, and I will see you next time.